discussions going on all around the country. Chris said, do you think I should be worried my doctor hasn't called me back with my blood test results? I said, yes, you have Ebola.
Great.
Yes, clearly you have Ebola.
Yeah.
You'll know when the men in the hazmat suits show up.
Wonderful.
I'll be like, quarantine, you're
fired. But he hasn't given it to you because you haven't run out of here in emergency in quite a while.
I had a sore throat yesterday, and one of my listeners, wrote in and said that just out of an abundance of caution, they're going to quarantine me and not listen for 21 days.
Oh.
Until they're sure that there's nothing coming out of the radio.
Great.
My sore throat's fine. I haven't slept in like a month. I might be a vampire. I need to get me that Brantley blood. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm the undead. Yeah. I am the undead.
Do you sleep during the day?
No, I'm not sleeping at all. I went to the hoochie doctor yesterday.
I don't think your badge has anything to do with your sleeping.
Is it creaking at night? Is that what's keeping you awake?
No.
Oil
not the tumbleweeds, not the barroom doors. Nothing is keeping me awake. I don't know.
Maybe it's because you have two giant dogs sleeping with you that wrestle.
No, they aren't sleeping with me. No, everything seems to be fine in the lady bits. However, we have to do blood work or something. And he might give me, I don't know, progesterone, something.
Whatever.
Who can say?
I
asked for
what is that?
I asked for Brantley blood. I said, why can't I have Brantley blood? Everyone else is getting it. Okay, can I tell you a funny gynecologist story? Just because you guys, I know you love the stories about the lady bits.
I love going to the gynecologist.
Me too.
All the time. Can't get it.
All right, do not ask me how this came up. I don't really...
Oh, Lord. Really?
Did it involve syrups?
It's this kind of story?
Oh, by the way, I love my gynecologist so much.
Yeah.
He is so awesome, and I ran into him once at the gym that you go to still.
Oh.
And I was like, ooh, that's awkward. I'm like, I don't normally run into people who seem... I mean, not that many, not that many. Right. So it was startling, when you see someone out of place, like somewhere that you're not used to seeing them. Right. I was like, oh, doctor... Anyway, you just have that urge to put your feet up. Pardon?
Did you recognize you just by your face?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Anyway, don't ask me how this came. I do not remember. We're just very chatty with each other. Blah, 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 blah. This will only take a second. I won't do anything to shock you. I'm like, oh, okay. And, because they're trying to distract you.
Yeah.
Okay. He once had a patient that had 2 vaginas. I'm not kidding.
Were they side by side or was it a double-decker?
2 entrances. I was like,
right. That's a very good question.
Side by side
or double-decker.
You know what? I got to call him back. Hang on. I don't need the answer to this. I don't know. Isn't that the weirdest thing you've ever heard?
One in her shoulder.
No, it was, I think, the general area.
Okay.
But that's a good question, whether it was like sidecar or...
double-decker.
Right. Don't know. Now the mind reels.
These are legitimate questions.
Isn't the show fun the day after I go to the hoochie doctor?
Democrats are into science. We like this stuff.
Yes. I told you I ran... Right. This is the science stack.
So
I did run into another. I told you I ran into another gynecologist, a woman at a party once, and she said, I specialize in vaginal deformities. So that,
What?
right there,
Yikes.
you start to, and I'm guessing it's that sort of thing.
Those are the ones
I don't know
with
if they're all like circus worthy, but I was like, what, like, kind of balloon animals? Like, well, what sort of? And who's to judge abnormal?
So there's a lid for every pot.
Yeah.
Right. Right? I'm sure everybody.
I bet you there's some
sometime, the first time.
peen out there would be just perfect for those deformed vaginas.
Right. I'm sure that, that the first time everybody be a little, oh, and then it's like, whoa, okay.
I would think she would let them know before they went rooting around down there.
Here's something I want you to know before. I think there's some, here's a little GTK for you. Okay. It's like that scene in a Scary Movie where she's not groomed.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay. Greg writes, staff just realized in the discussion about Sarah Palin's channel yesterday that she's doing the equivalent of the Happy Hour podcast. The difference is yours is actually entertaining. Thank you. That's true, yes. Britt, can we get Bristol Palin? Can we get Bristol Palin?
For the Happy Hour?
She is a potty mouth. Do we have the audio?
That girl can drink.
Yeah.
You were sober when you did the bleeping, right?
Yes.
We're going to have the uncensored version for the podcast, I'm sure.
Oh, really? Okay. Awesome. With Frangela this week.
Yes.
We may have called an audible on that.
Yeah, and now they call an audible because they're traveling, so we have to tape it tonight, and I haven't slept for like a month, so I'll be God knows what's going to happen.
Sleep-deprived Stephanie's really funny this morning. It should be more delirious like this all the time.
How often you hear about, Okay. Anyway.
I still don't know how you've linked
they're
your
not
sleeping.
Also, they're not 2 separate whole ones, just the entrance. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay. Anyway, all right, let's move on. So, Bristol Palin, there's some audio. So what it took so long, TMZ? There's audio and there's pictures, right?
Right. Yes.
From the drunken Palin brawl.
Oh, yeah. You really can't see a whole lot in the pictures. You do see Sarah Palin's red, white, and blue sneakers, though.
Oh, well, that's all that matters.
Precious.
Yeah. No faces are shown. The Anchorage cops made sure that no faces were shown.
That look, there's
Not in the face. Not in the face.
Not in the face.
Not the face. Not the face. Okay. Speaking of that,
Maybe
we will get to Renee Zellweger in a minute because we've got a lot to talk about today. Oh my God. What has Renee Zellweger done to herself?
She looks good. She just doesn't look like
Renee Zellweger. I know. She's unrecognizable.
Remember, we haven't seen her in the last 5 years, too. So she's aged. People age, you know.
Right, but she's definitely gotten rid of the squinty eyes.
Not aging.
You remember, I had a forehead lift. You remember how surprised I was to see you for several years.
Yes. I came by to see you right after it was done. You wore a bandana around your head that was caked in blood and pus.
I'm like,
not. Yes, it was. No, you did have some oozing. You had some oozing.
Chris, apparently.
Oh, you came in early.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, but my
you
point
had
is,
just gotten home from your little, because you had to stay at a place.
That place.
Yeah.
Mom had to stay somewhere to rest.
Right, and you had just gotten home from there when I came to see you, and so you still had oozing blood and pus.
Up in Malibu? Was this like one of those med spas up in Malibu?
No. Okay, so I know I have no room to talk, but I'm just saying it made me sort of sad because I think she's adorable, and these, like a lot of actresses that have those quirky looks, I thought she looked great.
She got a lot of crap for having a squinty look.
I know, but that makes me sad. That's what I'm saying. That's like sort of a form of bullying that like SNL. But I thought she was adorable. You picture those scenes in Jerry Maguire and Bridget Jones, and you go, that was part of her quirky charm, and now she looks
do that
like
anymore.
Everybody. Who is it? We were mentioning Jennifer Grey. I know a couple other people where you're like, oh my God.
They don't look.
No.
Yeah.
Kenny Rogers.
Oh God.
Yeah, my nose just looks like a slightly smaller banana than it did before. I'm still recognizable.
You've seen Kenny Rogers lately, haven't you?
No. Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, he does. Yeah, he doesn't look like him.
Wow.
No, I feel like but when all the older guys get plastic surgery, it's like they all kind of gravitate towards the same look. They don't.
Then they end up on men who look like old lesbians.
Get closer to your microphone.
I don't think they know how to do the male plastic surgery like they do with women because they all start looking the same after the. It's like Kenny Rogers is the same template as.
Like they're made in like a wax figure factory. Yeah. Huh. All right. How did we get off track from the Bristol Palin?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, this is just going to be sort of stream of consciousness today. I've had no sleep.
All right.
Okay. All right. So this is her talking to the cops.
Yes.
And she is a delight. Now I'm sorry that she did not get to give a speech at the convention.
Some lady with gray hair who wants to push my 20-year-old sister. I'm going to defend my sister. She's 20 years old. A guy comes out of nowhere and pushes me on the ground, takes me by my feet, in my dress, in my thong dress, in front of everybody. Come on, you here. Come on, you it's up here. I don't know this guy. I've never seen this guy in my life.
That guy would be the host of the party?
Yeah, although that's not what witnesses says. Witnesses say that she was kind of cold cocking.
Yeah.
The host of the party drunkenly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
She's wearing a thong dress?
Yeah, I didn't
What's a
understand
thong dress?
I don't know. Did she mean a thong under her dress?
I don't know. Oh, she was allegedly drunk.
Allegedly. Allegedly. Have we said enough?
No.
We've heard from Bob Seska yesterday how litigious the whole Palin clan could be.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes, we do need to get her on the Happy Hour podcast.
I will start working.
Yeah, that was a bunch of C words and F words.
I'm sure she'll be right on returning my emails.
Yeah. Oh, someone has a request for this week's Happy Hour podcast. They want to know why you originally called me the C word. And I don't remember except that I was being a C word, as I recall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had it coming.
I don't remember.
It was something. We were having a little spat during commercial break.
Yeah.
Something I asked for that I didn't pull out of your butt quickly.
Is there ever a reason not to call you
I was
that?
being a C word. I was. But he is sometimes, too.
Sometimes.
That's why we love each other.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So, wow, lots to get to. Hey, speaking of unruly teens, how about those kids that actually tried to go join ISIS? Oh my God.
The Denver girls?
All the Denver girls.
Stamps.
Trust me, I know Denver girls. They're crazy.
Yes, you do know Denver girls.
What?
Anyway, Travis,
We know each other too well.
We've known each other too long. What? Okay, so they were what? How old? 15, 16, 17?
Something
They tried
like that.
to go to Turkey to join ISIS.
Because
Right.
ISIS loves chicks.
Yeah, totally.
Right, because they were in a little feminist frenzy. They decided to fly to, yeah.
Are they going to be like the 50 virgins that part of the 50 virgins that they get?
I don't know.
Dear.
But anyway, they caught them, and they said there's no charges because they're underage. But what kind of parents out there? How long is the grounding for that? Seriously, because I took my mom's car for a joyride, her Oldsmobile. I don't remember how long. Maybe like a week. Yeah, but for going to Turkey to join ISIS, like what?
You can take a joyride in an Oldsmobobile?
Yeah, that's a bigger question.
That's the most joy I had.
Not a lot of joy in that.
You were waspy.
It was kind of a joyless childhood.
It's the waspiest
I was in
thing
Buffalo.
I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, how long is the ground? Just okay. That was do not go to Turkey to join ISIS again. We're watching you.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that was weird. Oh, by the way,
What?
because we ought to get all the haters calling right now. One of the things I just read the piece on CNN this morning. One of the reasons they couldn't track that is because of Edward Snowden and all the stuff he revealed. Because now they can't track stuff on the internet like they used to.
Oh, that'd be good to know.
Yes. All right. Just saying. Okay. Oh, here come the haters. Go answer them. Here we go. 17 minutes after the hour. Just saying.
Yeah.
All right. Travis. First face plant of the day. Right.
And we thought it was going to be you.
Face
We
palm.
thought it was going to be
Face
you.
palm. It was actually a head mic drop.
Yeah. Face mic.
Did I take a nap yet?
No.
Okay. Right back on the Stephanie Miller Show. Yeah. It is the Stephanie Miller Show. Oh, in all the excitement, in the first segment, we forgot to mention that we have a big show.
Yeah.
Dean Obadala, comedian extraordinaire, columnist for the Daily Beast. Lisa Bloom. Mm-hmm. Now I just yell. Twitter's my only form of communication now.
Right.
And on Twitter I said, Travis, get me Lisa Bloom.
And here she is.
Yes.
Look at here.
Yes.
The second hour.
And then Jackie Schechner live in hour 3. She switched with Carlos.
Yep.
Carlos Alzraki will be in tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, Christine in Illinois. Hi, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show.
Hi, I'm
Hi.
a Tea Party Republican.
Huh?
Kind of a Christian Science, anti-science. Well, I used to be. I'm changing my ways. I'm not going to be a Republican anymore. I'm ashamed.
Wow.
Wow. No, wait a minute. Christine, I missed. Did you say you were a Christian Scientist?
I used to be
Oh, okay.
a Chow Bachman loving Tea Party member.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm kind of ashamed to be a Tea Partier now. I saw the worst thing in my life on TV last night. I like Reverend Dale, even though I'm a Tea Partier.
Right.
And I don't know who said it, but somebody said he couldn't, they were surprised he had a TV show because they didn't know he could speak in complete sentences. And I thought it was the funniest thing I ever heard in my life. It makes me sick. I love Reverend Dale. But
Christine, can I ask you why you still call yourself a Tea Partier?
because I live out in the country and it's all Tea Party around here, I do it sometimes. I have to talk in an accent.
It's peer pressure.
To keep my kids safe, when I go to the grocery store, I kind of talk in an accent. If you run into other people and you say, oh, you're a Republican, I'm a Republican too at the store. But, it's getting more embarrassing.
But you're faking it. You're faking. Women are good at faking it, right?
Anymore. No, it's too embarrassing. But
what drew you to it originally?
Being German.
Excuse me?
Family members, all my family is Republican. My grandfather, great-grandfather, they're all Republican.
Yeah, my family too. My dad was part German too.
I think it's disgusting that
my dad is part German.
I know.
Okay.
I thought you were talking Republican.
Both.
They switch it on you, though. 1 minute you're a Republican, 1 minute you're not. If you're a Lincoln Republican, like my great-great-grandfather,
right?
They trick people. They have billboards that say, "Hey, it's good if you're a Republican." And the people that treated black people awful, they were Democrats. That's the new thing now. So.
Yeah, my dad was. I would call him like an Eisenhower Republican. He was colleagues with Dwight Eisenhower.
I don't like that we have public broadcasting, PBS in Chicagoland here.
Yeah.
And I was raised in Sesame Street and all that stuff like that on public broadcasting.
Right.
Well, the Republican public broadcasting is NRB, and they have brainwashing, manipulative stuff that's really scaring my 10-year-old. He watches that 10-year-old Justice Kid, and I don't like it. He told my son they have that when you go online, you could talk to the kid or watch his program. My child's the same age. He said they were telling him rocks are not old. You have to go by the Bible. Things are only 2,000 years old. If liberals lying to you, PBS should be taken off the air. Well, I think NRB should be.
Wow. Wait, what's the show? What's Justice Kid?
It's kind of like Jimmy Swaggart, but it's a new NRB kind of. You're down south, and on the end of the program, they have producer, cameraman listed. Usually, if you see a program, it has different last names. On his, it says Justice, Justice, Justice. They got the grandma down on the bottom. The whole family makes the show.
Huh.
They're in a cult, and I don't know the little kid's first name, but his last name is Justice.
Wow.
And
I'm really anti-gun, and that made me just want to get on the rooftop with a sniper rifle.
Republicans think Americans are so stupid that they put flyers out with a gun on it and say, here one here's a gun. We're not that manipulative, unless you're in Colorado in a cult. But you're so noticeable if you're like that you stick out like a
Wow. Well, Christine, you are family here, so we welcome you to the light.
I'm from Kansas originally. My family's still in Kansas, and it's weird.
Okay.
Obama's family's kind of near Hayes, where I used to be. My family's still there. But, yeah, I talk in accents when I go to visit my family.
She can relate to me because this is what my first segment was like.
Yeah.
Oh, have you slept lately, by the way?
My grandpa used to talk about picking tea-maters, taking them to the fair in Colorado, in Nebraska with his tea-maters and his puss-aters. And I remember that was my grandpa, but yeah.
All right. Well, Christine, welcome to the light, and thanks for calling, okay?
Oh, sure.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
What was that?
I think she just needed someone to talk to. I'm not really sure any of that was true.
What was that?
You know what? That actually happens in a lot of places in the country. People feel they have to say they're Republican or Tea Party because they peer pressure. And maybe she feels a home here. Join us. Join us.
Yeah, but then Grandpa was going to Colorado to take the tomatoes or whatever.
Leave her alone. She's our new friend. I need all the friends I can get. Okay. See? All I have are paid friends like you. Leave me alone if I'm making friends on the show. I love you, Christine. Oh. Okay. See, I think it was that whole, when I'm sleepless, that's what I attract.
Yeah.
She makes perfect sense to me.
Sure.
Welcome to Disjointed Thoughts with Stephanie Miller. Okay, Danette in Georgia, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hi, Danette.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering, did the parents encourage the girl to go, try to go to Turkey and join ISIS? Because I know if my kid was missing, I file a missing persons report. I don't let my kids out of my sight to the degree that they can just hop on an airplane or try to hop on an airplane.
Well, you know, I'm reading the top of it, actually, Danette, and they got a phone, the guy got a phone call from his daughter's Denver schools to let him know that she hadn't come to class. He dialed her cell and she answered, but she didn't say, I'm on the way to Turkey to join ISIS. She just said she was late to class. So, yeah. And
what information are they getting that it's okay for them? You know what I mean?
Right. Well, the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where you turn the internet off and I don't know, that's just crazy to me.
Yeah, because apparently they researched this whole thing, they were on all these kinds of sites about how to get to, join the ISIS and how to get to Turkey or whatever, so, yeah. Is there an ISIS blocker on your interweb? Who knows? All right. Dino Badala joins us next on the Stephanie Miller Show. The Stephanie Miller Show. The new Dino Badala piece, hot off the presses. Mama just finished it off. Okay, 34 minutes after the hour. 1-800-STEP-12, the phone number, toll free from anywhere. Why?
Here he comes, this is Dino Badala. Yes, it's Dino Badala. Dino Badala.
Whee! Good morning, Dean.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good. Thank God you found the cure for Ebola mania. Hot off the presses this morning.
This is just hot off. Well, it's on my new, relatively new media portal, they call it. Everyone else calls it a blog. But I call it a media portal because it sounds more impressive. Called the Dean's Report.
Very
impressive. People go to thedeansreport.com, but I have a bunch of people just submitting articles, and I'm very happy.
Yes.
And this is it, Ebola mania. It's here. It's I had it. I have to admit, I'm not proud, but I actually had Ebola mania.
You said you were on a flight out here to California, and you said every time you heard a person sneeze, visions of the pink and blue Ebola cells that are constantly on cable news danced through your head. Did they dance to music or just?
There was no, the music was like sort of something Monty Python with people dying, something horrible, like the Inquisition. And I kept using my Purell hand sanitizer. And I was actually thinking of putting it on my fingers and jamming it into my nose, thinking that'll kill the germs on the inside. That's not a good idea.
No, probably medically unwise. Yes.
It is, and it burns. Let's leave it at that. So it's not good at all. And so I was really, and I realized at that moment that I was just sucked into everything we've seen in the media and from certain politicians, certain politicians who were just doing everything they can to scare us, from like Rand Paul and Ron Johnson. I mean, Rand Paul actually said that, and this was a week ago, that it's an incredibly transmittable disease, and everyone's downplaying it. And he goes, we have physicians and healthcare workers catching it, and they're completely gloved down. Well, we had 2 nurses, no doctors catch it.
Right.
But, facts don't matter when you're trying to scare people and run for president, right?
And then we have the latest, this morning, the cameraman who got Ebola, the NBC cameraman, is cured, correct? The 43 people who had come in contact with Thomas Eric Duncan, as you wrote, the Liberian man who died in the Dallas hospital, have all been declared Ebola-free. And you say, how can we be sure these people don't have Ebola? Science. Yes. And you made a good point that I was, when you as you say, you heard Rand Paul talking about how easily you can catch it. You said, sure, some people had casual contact, but you said others had intense hands-on interaction with Duncan while he was horribly ill. The most notable being his fiancee and her son and 2 nephews who all lived with him.
Mm-hmm.
They lived in a small apartment. Duncan, so everyone remembers, he's a Liberian man who came here, and unfortunately, he died from Ebola. Now, he came here September 20th to America with the disease. He was already showing some symptoms. He lived with them in a small apartment, the 4 of them. Other people came and visited. I mean, he got so bad that September 25th, 5 days after he got here, he was like vomiting and diarrhea and had 103 fever. The fiance, Louis Trowell, brought him to Texas Presbyterian Hospital. And that's a hospital who sent him home, even though they knew he'd been to Liberia at 103-degree fever. So for 2 more days, they're with him when he has like full-blown everything. And they're sharing an apartment, they're sharing food dishes, blankets, living space together. And 2 days later, his fever climbed to 104, and Tro's daughter is a nurse's aide and goes, I think this is Ebola. Right. And she cared for him as well. And then they called an ambulance, and he finally went to the hospital and died October 8th. So for 7 days, they shared a small space, shared every part of their lives together with this man, and not one got it. And he had full symptoms. We're talking not like little things. He had 104-degree fever, uncontrollable diarrhea, vomiting, loss of appetite, muscle pain, blood coming out of his eyes almost. I mean, literally, that's how bad it was. No one got it.
Yeah. No, I mean, and by the way, I had not heard this till I read your article this morning. We had Republican Senator Ron Johnson opine that ISIS fighters might infect themselves with Ebola and come to America to spread the disease. That is spectacular. That is.
There's another congressman that said Hamas was going to do it. Why you pick Hamas, I'm not even sure. But anyway, the idea. Okay, so just so everyone understands here, and I'm not a doctor. Well, technically, I have a JD as a lawyer, but it's not a real doctor. I can't do exams. You're
not a physician.
I'm not allowed to do any more examinations. Yeah. My JD. To infect someone, you have to have the symptoms manifesting. You must show them.
Right.
Which means you have uncontrollable diarrhea and uncontrollable vomiting.
Right.
And then they have to wipe their bodily fluids on you. So to use it as a weapon, and someone's gravely ill, if you see someone walking towards you uncontrollably vomiting and they have diarrhea,
you're probably going to run.
Wipe their hands on you, okay? Just walk away, because they can't run because they can barely function. They're dehydrated. So you slowly walk away, and they'll just collapse on the sidewalk.
By the way, I'm just saying, may also hurt recruiting just a skosh. It's like, a bomb? Sure, I'll blow myself up. Ebola? I mean, at least a bomb, it's over. I'm like, really? You're going to convince someone to get Ebola and then fly to the United States and wipe themselves on people?
America, and you're going to try to wipe your bodily fluids on people, and they might still not get the disease, but it's the thought that counts, right? No, it's not. Then you're absolutely true. What you just said, I almost put in the article, but I didn't want to really scare people. If they were going to do something, it's simply get a bomb and go into the subway or on a bus or something like that and kill people. You know people are going to die, and you've scared the hell out of everyone.
Yeah.
The disease, people won't even know where they got it from. They won't know. Like, ISIS might claim responsibility for Ebola because terrorist groups claim responsibility for volcanoes and lunar eclipses because it's about power, but, this is not the most effective.
Yeah, let me get this straight. Only my ass is going to be exploding? I don't know.
Computer says no.
You know what?
I want everything to go.
I was so down with jihad before you told me that part. And
Well, the worst thing was a Politico poll came out Monday and showed that Ebola mania is working for Republicans. Because the poll showed that the average voter thinks that President Obama is on hand of the crisis and the federal government is on hand of the crisis correctly, and that equates better results for the Republicans in the midterm elections. So that means they're not going to stop. You're not going to hear the Republicans talk about the 43 people or the fact that Nigeria, which had an outbreak in July, just declared Ebola-free on Monday, or that the cameraman, none of that. They're going to continue this drumbeat of
Dean, they do this every time. I mean, I hate to say it, but you're right. This is like a gift that's been handed to them right before the midterms. I mean, look at with George W. They did it with gays.
Yeah.
They did. They always find a way to fearmonger and divide. I mean, they're even doing it in this cycle in some states with the immigration. Ooh, scary brown people. Ooh, Latinos. And I was, what made me so angry is this story in the LA Times, Dean, about how Latinos are going to sit out the midterms because they're mad at Obama. It's like, really? You have Republicans running specifically on fear-mongering about Latinos, and you're not going to stand up and I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, I'm just saying it's just, here we go again, right?
No, I agree with you. They've used fear very, very effectively. Very effectively. In 2004, they had a gay marriage ban in states, I think 11 or 12 states, and it brought out the social conservatives to the polls, and a lot of that, when you're doing that stuff, it's just like the anti-Sharia law legislation. Surrounding that is always anti-whatever group you're talking about, like real scary stuff. Like Muslims are going to do this. They're going to, the 1% of the country that's Muslim is going to impose Islamic law in America. Really? No, it makes no sense. But it scares people, and they come and vote for you.
Well, all I can hope is we've got, 2 weeks left in this Ebola, as you say, Ebola mania, which is easier to catch than Ebola, obviously. It's just, the fever breaks, literally and figuratively, right?
I hope so. I mean, and I wrote an article for the Daily Beast. I'm not trying to plug it, but just to say that there are little glimmers of hope. Like, I'm from North Jersey.
I was going to bring up that glimmer. Go ahead.
Okay, and this goes back to the adage in politics, all politics is local. So nationally, it's not looking good for Democrats. We know that. I mean, a best-case scenario for the Democrats, they only lose 5 Senate seats. That's how bad this is, so they don't lose control of the Senate. It's that horrific right now. They lose. But in North Jersey, where I'm from, actually, in my congressional district, there's been a Tea Party Republican there, this guy named Scott Garrett, who gets a 100% rating by the conservative groups up from the ACU, tying Michelle Bachmann and Ted Cruz, which might be fine in other parts of the country. But New Jersey is a blue state. Obama won it by 18 points.
Right.
If this guy is just, the reason Scott Garrett stayed there for 5 terms is he's very quiet. He's not like Louis Gohmert or Alan West was, who lost, or Michelle Bachmann. He just sits there, votes against everything, and just quietly, no one pays attention to him.
But in Jersey, as you say, one thing he voted against was relief for Hurricane Sandy, right?
Ultimately, he voted for it, but what happened was he had to get dragged to vote for it. But all members of the New Jersey delegation, after Hurricane Sandy, signed a letter to the House leadership going, you got to get us more aid, except for him. Out of the 12, so every Democrats and Republicans all signed it, but this guy, Scott Garrett, wouldn't. And then he did a campaign ad saying, I brought hurricane relief to New Jersey, and I led the fight. So the newspapers, even without Roy Cho was running against them, bringing it up, the newspapers there, like the Star-Ledger, wrote editorials going, you're just making things up now. This is ridiculous. Like, if he would have kept quiet, he probably could have sailed to a victory. Roy Cho is a good candidate, but it's a hard district. Now he's opened up a whole new can of worms where even independents are like, why would you bring up an issue when you really didn't do anything and you're really against it? So just shut up about it. But instead, the idiot finally talked.
Wow. And as you say, the other key things, Roy Cho, of course, he's the first Asian American to ever secure a nomination for Congress, and he's doing really well raising money, correct?
He raised over $1 million, and he went out to your state, California, and George Takei did an event for him.
Oh, my.
Contract guy. So, and it's sort of like, and I feel a connection to where I know him a little bit, but, he's a minority who's been underrepresented, his group, in government and politics, even though they have many more Asians in America than Muslims or Arabs. So, I know what it's like to have your community have a sense of pride that you're doing something. So for him, it really is. So many of the Asian Americans are coming out, supporting him. And for that, he's this young guy. He never ran for office before, but he's 33 and wants to do public service.
Right.
And it's great. He's like, this kind of guy who's like a breath of fresh air in Washington. That sucks. And if it wasn't for this district being, not heavily Republican, but leaning Republican, I'd say he'd win for sure. But it's a tough year.
Yeah.
The new poll that came out just last week, he's just down by 5 points. He was down by like 13 2 months ago. So he's getting there.
Wow.
It could work. It could happen. If people come out, so everyone remembers, only 38% probably will vote to 40% will vote in the midterm, this midterm, if the last one's any indication.
Right.
And in certain states, it's down to 25% of the people voting in midterm elections.
Aye.
Not even a democracy anymore.
Yeah, I know. It is sad. Dean, before you go, the Denver girls that tried to go fly to Turkey and join ISIS, the teenage girls, did you hear about that?
I did hear about that.
And
they're friends on Facebook, and I'm really Garrett. I'm like, ladies, come on now. I don't know.
Yeah, what is the length of time as a parent that you would ground them for? Because apparently they're not going to be charged. They're just, you know how it is. You're a kid. You try to find a turkey to join ISIS.
Why would you do anything with ISIS? Like, that to me, goes to a bigger thing. Like, were they screwing around? Was it funny? Did they think it was cool? Because now, you know, like, you just want to associate with the most scary people out there, and it makes you cool in your social circles. I don't even know what's going on, because it makes no sense to me.
Right.
I mean, as a Muslim, as an American, as a human being with a functioning brain, it makes no sense. Why do this stuff?
Especially considering they're girls. And ISIS doesn't take kindly to girls.
ISIS, like Mars, needs women.
ISIS.
Yeah.
They make them the sex slaves. So, I mean, bingo, you know, it's like, you know, there's not everything's bad about ISIS. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, my God.
I'm kidding.
Did you get that, Newsbusters?
Sean Hannity. I was kidding about that.
All right. We love you, Dino, but I'll see you next week.
Thanks,
all right,
Steve.
bye-bye. 46 minutes after the hour. We roll along on the Stephanie Miller Show. The Stephanie Miller Show. All right, Michael Brown leaked autopsy report. Lisa Bloom is already tweeting away that she will be on our show talking about that.
Yep.
Renee Zellweger is glad people think she looks different, so there. She looks like she may have eaten several Kristen Chenoweths. That's all I'm saying.
Well, what is it about society that makes her want to go ahead and do something?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And, well, as someone that went ahead and did something like that. But I'm just saying, to me, I like the way her eyes were. I thought it was really cute.
Yeah, you're one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, she got so much bullying online about how
cyberbullying.
Squinty she looked.
Well, I thought she was adorable. Anyway, she's still pretty. She just looks entirely different. Okay. 1-800-STEPH-12, the phone number, toll free from anywhere. So the 3 Denver girls playing hooky from school tried to join ISIS. What parent doesn't know what I'm talking about?
One of them was her parents were Sudanese.
Yes.
Yeah.
First indication was something was wrong was a phone call from his daughter's Denver area school to let Assad Ibrahim know she had not come to class. He dialed her cell and she answered, but officials say she didn't tell him that she was on her way to Syria to join ISIS. And I got that. What are you thinking? I'm totally not on my way to Syria to join ISIS. She was just late for class. I'm totally late for class. That's the deal.
Meanwhile, she was in Frankfurt, which is where they were picked up.
I am not in Frankfurt. Frankfurt cycles aren't boarding now. What was that? Dad, nothing. The American girl of Sudanese descent also kept quiet about her 2 girlfriends, Americans of Somali descent, who were flying with her to Turkey by way of Germany. Those 2 had told their father, Ali Farah, that they were going to the library.
In Frankfurt.
Well, perhaps they didn't have the book she was looking for in Denver.
It could happen. She needed the Gutenberg Bible.
Now there's going to be parents all over the country. Oh, the library, sure. You're in Frankfurt on your way to join ISIS, aren't you?
Lufthansa Flight 123, ready for boarding.
What was that? Did I hear something? Jennifer in Chicago, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hello, Jennifer.
Hi, I'm so excited I'm on. It's part of my weekend time at work. Actually, I'm able to share some information. Anyway,
okay.
There was this great article in BuzzFeed.
Okay.
And it's about what happened with these girls. So there's a whole Facebook community. There's a whole Twitter community, and it's basically telling them how to get there, which is through Turkey. You know, the safest way, what to tell people, so you're not saying, "Hey, I'm coming to join ISIS." And
Turkey?
Basically to become the women of ISIS. They find them husbands. And, you know, they support their husbands as they go to war, and they, you know, prayers, and then they post all these pics of guns, and it's a whole different mindset. It's really crazy.
You know,
I mean,
right, but Jen, I think what's really sort of puzzling to people is that, you know, girls in America would be drawn to this. You know, you would think that clearly that obviously they're here, you would assume because of the opportunities that America offers. It just seems like, wow, you know, because as Chris was saying.
Women, yeah, part of the women that were profiling this article, they were in England. I mean, it's
disaffected youth, it sounds like. They're just looking for somewhere where they could fit in.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Whatever happened to when we used to, what did we used to do?
Go to Chuck E. Cheese.
Right.
You could fit in there.
Kids these days, Jennifer, you know what I'm saying?
I know. I mean, what happened to just pot, right?
Right. Something. Yeah, all right.
I saw you in Chicago, the first sexy liberal.
Oh,
yay.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. Love you guys.
All right, love you back. Okay, Jen, thank you. I don't know. Kids these days. Hate to the darndest things. It's true. That's when you really know you're old. You're right. We were attracted to things because you're, disaffected or whatever.
When I was 16, I was wearing polyester lederhosen.
Right. So that was a bit of a cult. It's a little jihad against fashion.
It was my uniform at Busch Gardens.
You were on a jihad against fashion.
I was forced to wear it. And a name tag.
Yeah, so... let's see. So, when the father was told to see if his daughter's passports were missing, the visitor told him just like his, and sure enough, they found the passports gone along with $2,000 in cash. Wow, parents keeping big bags of cash around the house.
Yeah. Did it have a dollar sign on the side?
I was lucky if I could roast a little change from my cheap Republican parents. My mom's change purse. $2,000 and a passport. Where would I find that sort of thing in Buffalo, New York?
Wow.
German authorities intercepted the trio ages 15, 16, and 17 at Frankfurt Airport and put them on a plane back to the U.S. where they were greeted by FBI agents. Oh, my God, total buzzkill. They're like, this close to jihad. The girls' parents say they have no idea the children had planned to travel. None of them had ever run away before. The disappearance hit them out of the blue the way other ISIS-related incidents are popping up in the Western world. 2 more turned up in tandem with the girls' runaway attempt.
Yeah.
We've been hearing this in Britain and in this guy in Canada.
Mm-hmm. And to the parents' credit, they did call the police as soon as they found out.
Right.
It's not like they helped them along or anything.
Right, exactly. Well, that's what somebody was speculating. Yeah. Did they know or encourage them?
No, they didn't encourage them to call police as soon as they found out.
Let's see here. Yeah, this is what Jen was just calling about. ISIS has, for an anti-Western organization, been surprisingly attractive to young recruits from the West as well as to as some young women. More than 100 foreign fighters have come from the U.S., according to intelligence estimate, hundreds more from Europe, which, of course, is geographically closer. Dave in Minneapolis, you're on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Stephanie. I don't think we've got to be cautious about making too much about these girls going off to Turkey. I mean, they're teenagers, first of all, and teenagers are often feeling really victimized, and they're looking for some kind of cause to be a part of. And,
right.
And some of those causes are pretty wild.
Why couldn't they just be believers? I don't understand.
Well, really, of course, I think that's even worse, but that's just my opinion.
Who's douchier, Justin Bieber or ISIS? Oh, Dave, you're a scamp. Come on now.
I am. I'm so sorry. Punish me. But the other thing, I was just going to give as an example. When I was in college, I was doing some group homework for kids, teenagers who were in trouble with the law, whatever, and so they were put in a group home environment. And a group of them ran away one night, and they were all girls. They were going to go blow up Mount Rushmore.
Oh, God, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Kids. All right. Lisa Bloom, much more as we continue on the Stephanie Miller Show. Welcome to it. 6 minutes after the hour. Jackie Scheckner live in hour number 3. Carlos Alizraki tomorrow.
Yep.
All right. This just, wow. Everything's aligning. I didn't even have to say, get me Lisa Bloom. The official autopsy report has been leaked in the Michael Brown case.
Yeah.
Lisa Bloom joins us now. Good morning, Lisa Bloom.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm thrilled because I'm talking to you.
And not on the Twitter. On the real with voices and everything.
I know, right? So this is big news, and I know you were tweeting that you were going to talk about it. So the official autopsy was leaked, showing that Michael Brown had close-range wound to his hand and marijuana in his system. What's your quick take on it?
Well,
we'll get into the details, but
a couple things. First of all, it's outrageous to me that 72 days after the shooting, there's such a lack of transparency in this case that we're all excited when there's this little hint of a hearsay account of what Officer Wilson's story is in this autopsy. So this is not his story directly. He never did an incident report. This is what he told the detective, who then told the autopsy examiner. And what really jumps out at me is not so much what's in there, but what's not in there. He never said he was in fear for his life or the life of another, and that's the only legal justification for shooting. So we do have an account of all of the bullet wounds, as many as 8 bullet wounds in Mike Brown. That's pretty consistent with what we knew previously from the first autopsy that was released by Mike Brown's family.
Right.
But we don't know. Of course, we all know that Darren Wilson shot and killed Mike Brown. The question is, what was in his mind at the time? Did he reasonably fear for his life or the life of another, which is the only legal justification for shooting? And unfortunately, we don't know that just from looking at the bullet wound.
Well, right. And Lisa, I think I'd heard, I'm not sure if it was the Brown family lawyer, but that said, frankly, it doesn't matter what happened at the car. If he was fleeing or he was surrendering, that right. Still is not justification. I mean, I think we know there was some altercation at the car. There's just been differences in the witnesses in terms of what exactly happened and who started it and all of that stuff, right?
Right. And, what's vitally important in this case is that there are 6 witnesses who have come forward publicly and said that Mike Brown was fatally shot with his arms up in the air in the universal sign of surrender. 6 witnesses. 5 of those 6 didn't know either man in this case. Mm-hmm. And, how he gets around that is beyond me. We know there was an altercation at the car. There's a very different explanation from Mike Brown's friend and from Officer Wilson. Mike Brown's friend says, well, they both seem to agree. This began when the 2 young men were walking down the street. The police officer stops them and tells them to get out of the street. According to Dorian Johnson, he said, get the F out of the street, which is a fairly obnoxious way to talk to a citizen who's only jaywalking.
Right.
Then the friend says that the officer stopped the car, backed up, opened the door, and in opening the door, it hit Mike Brown and kind of bounced off of him and slammed shut. And then there was some kind of a struggle at the car, whether it was the officer trying to pull Mike Brown in and Mike Brown's trying to get away, which is what Dorian Johnson says, or Officer Wilson's going to say that I assume, because we only know bits and pieces, but right. that Mike Brown was struggling with him, reaching for the gun, the famous reaching for the gun that we always hear in these officer-involved shootings.
Lisa, I was just going to say, whenever I hear that, of course, I feel like I'm in the musical Chicago.
Yes.
Right? The lawyer rehearsing, yes. He was going for your gun, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I find it really hard to believe that there's this epidemic of young, unarmed black men in America suicidally reaching for police officers' guns day after day. They never quite touch the gun because that would leave their DNA on it. But this guy's just walking down the street. He's got a little marijuana in his system, and all of a sudden, he decides to reach into a police car and reach for the police officer's gun holstered on his right side, so I'm further away from him. That just is so preposterous to me. Only right. somebody who's severely mentally ill would do that. And Mike Brown was not. But anyway, after the altercation, right. Mike Brown runs away, and Officer Wilson says that as well. So everybody concedes he's running away. And then Officer Wilson says he stopped, he turned around, and then he started running towards him. And that's when he shot him and killed him. But nowhere in this new account is there any description of Officer Wilson being in fear or why he shot him, just that he did shoot him.
Yeah. Well, and I'm reading, I just wanted to get your take on it. I guess they're quoting in this first piece that came out, a forensic pathologist in San Francisco said the autopsy did not support witnesses who claimed he was shot while running away or with his hands up.
I disagree with that.
Yeah.
And everybody has to be really careful in what the autopsy says, which I've read every word of it, and people's conclusions that they're reaching from it. So we know that, for example, one of the bullet holes is in his palm. So that could be consistent with being shot with your hands up. Your palm would be forward, and then you would be shot in the palm. Another right. shot went through the underside of his forearm. Again, that could be a shot with his hands up. It could also be shot from behind.
From behind, yeah.
So what the eyewitnesses say is he was running away. He startled as if shot. So either the sound of the gunshot scared the crap out of him and he stopped, or he actually was grazed, and so he stopped. Okay, I give up. I surrender. I'm getting shot. Then he put his hands up, and then he shot. Some of the witnesses right. say he stumbled forward a little bit, a step or two from having been shot.
Right, which if you've been shot, Lisa, is different than rushing the cop, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you could be stumbling.
I think the fact that Mike Brown was shot at the car, which we know now he had at least one shot at the car, means that Officer Wilson knew that he was wounded. He had lost a shoe, so he's running away with one shoe, wounded. And according to 6 witnesses, has his hands up. And then what's the explanation for shooting him at that point? That's what we still don't have.
Well, and again, it just seems counterintuitive to me that you would rush an armed cop firing at you. I mean, when you're unarmed.
Right, exactly. Listen, as an attorney, I represent people in excessive force cases every day. And these are the same kinds of excuses I hear every time. When someone's unarmed, they can't say later, well, they had a gun and they were trying to shoot me. So they always say they were reaching for my gun. They were rushing toward me. In the Trayvon Martin case, they said he was using the sidewalk as a deadly weapon.
Right.
Please.
Yeah.
So, these are the same excuses we hear over and over again.
What and what is it? You know, once again, here we go again with the marijuana in his system, and you know, what feels like blaming the victim. You know.
Yeah. Listen, marijuana makes, as we all know, makes you calmer, more relaxed, more mellow. I mean, people on marijuana are generally not, as I said, suicidally reaching for a police officer's gun and deciding to have this violent altercation. The other thing about marijuana is we have to be careful because it stays in your system for up to 30 days. So it's not like alcohol where we can test and say, okay, well, you were under the influence at noon on Sunday.
Right.
If you're tested and you have in your system, it could have been from that morning, it could have been from a week ago, it could have been from 4 weeks ago. So it doesn't tell us a whole heck of a lot.
Well, and, you know, as we said in the Trayvon Martin case, you know, that doesn't mean he deserves to get shot for walking home with candy, even if, you know, I mean, it's just, it's...
Of course, but I think it tends to make people mellower.
Right.
And 99% of the population, that's the case. So if anything, I don't think that particularly helps Officer Wilson. You know, listen, I just came from St. Louis where I met with Ferguson activists and I spoke about these issues. And this whole matter has been handled so badly by the police and by the community, constantly leaking information in little pieces to try to support Officer Wilson, a complete lack of transparency. It's such a slap in the face to the community out there.
Yeah. Well, I love this. I just saw this. Missouri Governor Jay Nixon announced the creation of a Ferguson Commission to examine the social and economic factors brought up by all the unrest over the past few months. It's like, well, here's an idea. How about you not shoot unarmed black kids? Yeah. that might be a start.
Right. And you know what? And there's been 2 more since Mike Brown. And one of the things the activists really impressed upon me is, you know, 3 black boys have been shot and killed in the last couple of months. You know, we've been admirably peaceful, given that that's the case. And, of course, no police officer was arrested or charged with anything. And the last one, the case of Derek Myers, they said he had a gun, he was shooting at police, but no gun was found.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like you say, I mean, and literally you wrote the book on it, the Trayvon Martin book, right? The inside story of Trayvon Martin injustice and why we continue to repeat it. And and I know you don't probably like being proven right as much as you are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my book is called Suspicion Nation, and I called it that because this is a nationwide problem. You know, when I talked about the Trayvon Martin case, people would say, well, it's just Florida. And, of course, here in Los Angeles, where I live, we actually have more police shootings of unarmed civilians in Los Angeles than any other city. Most people don't know that. We've had over 500 in the last decade. In fact, I'm speaking at outside of police headquarters in Los Angeles today at 3:45 at a big rally against police brutality. So it's a problem in Los Angeles. It's a problem in New York, Florida, St. Louis. This is a nationwide problem.
Yeah. By the way, I have to, before you go, we have to talk about Oscar Pistorius for a minute, because, of course, we all had flashbacks to O.J., speaking of L.A. cases.
Oscar Pistorius' case is white man's justice, right? So he killed a woman in his home, right? I guess the message is shoot a woman, get a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, he got 5 years, but tell me what you think's going to happen, because, you know, of course, his attorney says he expects him to serve only 10 months and the rest of the time under house arrest.
Isn't that something?
Wow.
So apparently in South Africa, you can serve just 1/6 of your sentence if you are good behind bars, and he can get out in 10 months and then, as you say, be subject to house arrest, which would be probably in his uncle's very beautiful mansion where he's been you know, during the time of the trial. So it's just an astoundingly light sentence. I mean, for a guy who shot and killed, and he shot through the door intending to kill the person on the other side of the door, whether he knew that was his girlfriend or somebody else. He intended to take a life.
I mean, Lisa, I'm not clearly an expert like you are, but maybe I just don't understand the justice system over there. But I'm like, this seems so cut and dried to me. It's just it's like, are you kidding me? She's going to go in the bathroom in the middle of the night with her cell phone and lock the door? You know, I mean,
it's pretty appalling. Listen, I'm glad he was convicted of something, but he wasn't convicted of murder. He's convicted of a lower level homicide. And as a result, the judge had the choice between 0 to 10 years. You know, she cut it right down the middle. He argued he shouldn't go to prison at all because he's disabled and there were no facilities to take care of him. But the prison authorities said, we've got over 100 disabled people in that prison. He'll be fine. Yeah. So, I
mean, I think it was just right from the get-go. Wasn't that just the most preposterous thing you ever heard? I mean, any of us that have ever been in a relationship of any kind wouldn't you go, hey, honey, are you here? Are you okay? I mean, that story is just so preposterous, right?
Yes, it is. I think it is absolutely preposterous that you hear a noise in the night, you don't check for your girlfriend. And, you know, there were a bunch of neighbors who said that they heard a man and a woman arguing and heard a woman screaming before the shots were fired. which would indicate that they were having an argument, and he shot her for the oldest of reasons, anger, which is, I think, the same reason why Officer Wilson shot Mike Brown, because he was angry, because there had been a tussle, and probably Mike Brown had used some disrespectful words. And most of these cases boil down to anger.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, let me just say, if, you weren't straight and married, I'm just saying.
Oh,
and there were any chance, I totally would check if you were there.
Okay, I love you, that woman.
I love you, Lisa Bloom.
I love you, Stephanie.
The book is Suspicion.
Have a great day.
All right, you too, honey. The book is Suspicion Nation. Get it. Get it, get it.
Yep.
She's also a legal analyst for ABO.com.
ABVO.com.
ABVO.com, and, of course, legal analyst for NBC News. And she also has a little firm called Bloom Firm.
The Bloom Firm.
She's got no Bialystock, just Bloom.
Just Bloom, yes.
Just Bloom. She's got a fancy shingle on the door with her name on it. Oh, my mom would be so happy. All right, 19 minutes after the hour, right? Brought to you by Citrix GoToMeeting, the proven solution for meeting and collaborating with your team online from anywhere. Visit GoToMeeting.com. Click on the Try It Free button for your free 30-day trial. Okay, 24 minutes after the hour, Lisa Bloom was spectacular.
She was, as always.
Get
me Lisa Bloom.
Get me Lisa Bloom. All right. And Jackie Schechtner live in hour number 3.
Yep.
1-800-STEP-12, the phone number, toll free from anywhere. Let's go to Sean in Wyoming, home of marriage equality, finally. Ha-ha, Liz Cheney loses again.
Yeah, it's about time.
Hey, Sean.
How are you, Steph?
Good, go ahead.
Good. I just wanted to bring up one point. As a former police officer myself, there's one aspect of Officer Wilson's story that really kind of bothers me. The idea of Michael Brown reaching into the car for the gun, and then for some reason Darren Wilson saying, well, he needs to pull his gun.
Darren Wilson saying what?
For Darren Wilson feeling the need to then pull his gun. The safest place for a gun is in a police holster. It's not a standard civilian holster. To remove to remove a gun from a police holster, there's 3 distinct actions that have to happen. You have to push down, lean it forward, and then pull it out.
Oh.
And it's something that can only be done by the person wearing the holster. I've actually tried to remove mine without wearing it, and it's darn near impossible to do.
Wow.
Okay.
So that kind of shows either lack of credibility or lack of Officer Wilson's competence.
Well, Sean, I think Lisa Bloom brought up some really important points too that I hadn't thought about. What you just said, A, is interesting, but B, just that you go, this is the thing we all roll our eyes and go. I'm not saying it never happens, but you go, oh, he was going for your gun, but he didn't touch it, so there's no DNA, so you can't prove it, right? But I mean, that's the standard story, right?
Yeah, there's some chance that police officers may be taught in the police academy how to craft a story a certain way. I can say that much. Yeah.
Is it significant that, his blood was on the gun? So I think there's no question that there was a scuffle, and that but it's still, does it prove to you what happened? What you're hearing so far?
Well, geez, as a police officer, if someone was reaching into my car for my gun, the last thing I do is pull my gun. Probably the first thing I do is put the car in reverse, back up, and put myself in a safe position, and then reassess the situation.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. Yeah, interesting. All right.
And if you try to pull that gun from anything but that straight, at an angle at all, you cannot take it out of the holster.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Interesting. All right, Sean, thanks so much.
Well, thanks, Steph.
All right. Bye-bye. Top of the morning to you, officer.
Can I help you?
All right. Some not so fun facts about the 3 Denver girls trying to join ISIS. I know. Age-old story. Girl meets 2 other girls, goes off to join ISIS.
And become basically a sex slave.
Exactly. Oh, boy. Okay. We were talking about why. It's just they're aged 15, 16, 17, caught at Frankfurt Airport, as you usually catch your teenagers trying to sneak into Turkey. Of the 16,001 reasons I don't have kids. Okay. But we were talking about why. A couple of, people speculating. I'm reading, I don't know where this, CNN. It's more than just a radical interpretation of Islam that is drawing teens to the extremely bloodthirsty militant group. A former CIA officer says they're oftentimes searching for an identity because what the jihadis are actually pushing is a specific narrative, which is your people, Muslims, are being oppressed in this place called Syria. Your government is doing nothing. We're the only ones who are actually going to help you out. Why don't you join the fight? He says many of the teens lack a sense of belonging where they live, and they believe ISIS can give it to them. The general picture provided by foreign fighters of their lives in Syria suggests camaraderie, good morale, and purposeful activity, all mixed in with a sense of understated heroism designed to attract their friends as well as to boost their own self-esteem. Why can't they just riot over pumpkins here like most kids? What?
You see, some of the Ferguson protesters were smashing some pumpkins in reference to the King Pumpkin riot. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Let's see. The use of the internet, CNN, the piece goes on, makes terrorists more vulnerable to tracking, but that has become more difficult since Edward Snowden revealed secret U.S. surveillance programs. Okay, in Denver, the 17-year-old girl was apparently an investigator of the trip, having planned it for months, two U.S. officials said, but all three researched the plan online, visiting websites where extremists discuss how to get to Syria. The online activity didn't set off any tripwires the FBI typically uses to flag possible jihadist sympathizers. The officials said the FBI is combing all their communications to see if anyone was helping them. Their parents think ISIS was behind the trip. So we will give you all the latest as we roll along, 29 minutes after the hour, right back on the Stephanie Miller Show.
Of teen pregnancy, school violence, and leather pants.
And traveling to Turkey to join ISIS.
Yeah.
Oh, that Eric Hankey, he's a tweety scamp.
Eric Hankey tweeted, your daughter would have made it to Syria because you would have been too drunk to notice that she was missing.
I would have been, what now? Does that mean she can't go to the wine barn for me? Damn it. All right, 1-800-STEPH-12, the phone number, toll free from anywhere. Oh, love letter from, you remember Andy, Lori? They went to our Free Speech TV lunch. Let's see, Lori in Redwood City, California.
Yes, I do.
It's a love letter and also a fine American letter.
Okay.
Hi, Steph. Remember us from the mess hall kitchen luncheon? You stole my Brussels sprouts. Yes, I did. Thieved them right off her plate.
Okay.
She's right next to me. I know you enjoyed Andy. Andy is, I believe he's like 14.
Okay.
Remember he invented like a 3D printer, some weird genius kid thing. I know you enjoyed Andy and his attempted intervention when you ordered champagne. Yeah.
That's
looked at me very
adorable.
like, are you sure?
Aw.
We had so much fun that day, the free speech donor lunch. Us too. We stayed in L.A. for 3 days, did the theme parks. Andy said the best part of the trip was lunch with you. He likes me. I knew he liked me. That's why he kept knocking books out of my hands, trying to do interventions. Yeah, you know you love me. Later in the show, I heard you pushing people to vote.
And here's to you, Mrs. Robinson.
Cuckoo-cuckoo. I heard you pushing people to vote the other day. I truly believe we're completely screwed if we don't keep the Senate, and increasing turnout is the only way to save the Senate. Anyway, I want to tell you about the exciting GoTV effort that MoveOn.org is doing. I'm now a permanent volunteer with them, supervising their email help volunteers.
Oh, cool.
MoveOn is only calling the 5 states with the closest Senate races. They're trying to have a conversation with every registered Democrat who votes in the presidential elections, but not in the midterms. The success rate per volunteer of people who pledge to vote has been amazing, but the response for volunteers to call has been disappointing. Is there any way you can publicize the website where people can go to sign up for a call-in shift from home? All you need is a phone and a computer. It's moveon.org/call. As always, our whole family loves you. Lori in Redwood City, Andy and Don.
I'm going to post that right on your Facebook page.
Hi, Andy. Hi. All right. See, that kid's too busy being a genius and making 3D things or whatever. He's not going to Turkey to join ISIS. All right. Speaking of ISIS, Rear Admiral John Kirby, Pentagon spokesperson.
We do assess that Kurdish forces in the city are in control of the majority of the city. I would hesitate to put a number figure on that, but we do believe that they are in possession of the majority of it.
Of Chobani.
Right.
The city, not the yogurt.
Kobani.
Right. I was confused by that. I thought it was the yogurt. Like, why are we attacking yogurt? What has it ever done to us?
It's got fruit on the bottom.
Right? Exactly. Okay, Admiral Kirby again.
It's a mixed picture of competence and capability throughout the Iraqi army, and sometimes even within units.
Do they check now under their uniforms whether they have their street clothes on still? It's like, only one outfit at a time. Taking off your army uniform again. All right. Oh, and the stunning Steve King.
Stunning Steve
with
King.
With another stunning stunning bit of stupidity. Here he is.
6 of the most violent countries in the world are south of Mexico. That's a threat to us. But on top of that, we've got ISIS that's been interdicted on our southern border. I talked to Congressman Duncan Hunter a few days ago about that particular piece of evidence, and WorldNet Daily reported that there were another 4 ISIS, 10 reported by Duncan Hunter, 4 reported by WorldNet Daily. That's ISIS seeking to come into the United States, threatening us, and we saw the beheadings in Oklahoma. And on top of that, the biggest threat of all is Ebola.
Wow, that was a whole lot of. Let's sort of
parse that.
Let's parse. Let's pick that apart. Let's deconstruct that.
Oh boy, diagram that sentence.
So
yeah.
Oh, is that what? Okay, Dean Obadala was talking about, that he feels that ISIS is they're going to start contracting Ebola
and then bring it across the southern border.
Right, yeah. right. While vomiting and having exploding ass syndrome.
Yep.
And to try to wipe it on Americans because that would be
diarrhea particles.
Right. I'm just trying to picture the recruitment meetings. I'm sorry. What now? Wait. Let's review. I'm gonna get what now? And okay.
And then
so
travel while you're sick.
Right. So he mentioned the one guy that beheaded the person in Oklahoma.
Right.
The biggest threat from the southern border is Ebola.
Yeah.
Oh, so I see. They're going to convince people to join. Well, first of all, there's a lot of travel involved. If we're really going to review. So you're going to say find 3 teenage girls from Denver.
Right.
To fly to Frankfurt, then presumably to Turkey, and then to Syria, join ISIS, get Ebola, fly back. I don't know.
Fly to Guadalajara.
I can't even figure out that whole orbits trip because that's a whole multi-city destination back to
Guadalajara.
Right.
So you can sneak across the southern border.
Which I do not think is direct. It is definitely multi-city.
Sure.
Then, with Ebola.
Right.
You have to sort of time the Ebola and the exploding ass syndrome.
Right.
Because you have to be symptomatic to spread it to other Americans.
Right. You don't want to get...
And then, as Dean brought up, you won't even get credit because people won't really even know Ebola's... You won't know where you got it.
Right. Because it needs to
incubate. You don't even get extra credit for being the ISIS member that gave Americans Ebola.
Right. It needs to incubate for 21 days.
Right. And this may all not occur to you until you die in a pool of your own, liquefied poo. And then another a dream has died. All right, but once again, some spectacular reasoning from the Republican Steve King from Iowa.
He cited WorldNet Daily as a news source?
Right, he cited WorldNet Daily, the wackadoodle right-wing.
They're the ones who still haven't let go of the conspiracy theory that the president was born in Kenya.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So they're a trusted news source to Steve King.
Right. Well, I mean, not as much as Rush Limbaugh, who did speculate that the president. Wait, am I getting this right? He let Ebola come here because of slavery. As payback for slavery. So that took quite a bit of planning on his part as well.
Oh, my God.
All right. Back in the real world, Dr. Frieden, the CDC director.
The guidelines provide an increased margin of safety. They provide a consensus on better protecting healthcare workers because even a single healthcare worker infection is unacceptable.
So the NBC cameraman who got Ebola is Ebola-free now.
Ebola-free.
Yes. Everybody is out of quarantine that was exposed to the what do I keep forgetting his name? Duncan.
Right.
The guy who died in Dallas. And as Dean was saying, that was pretty extraordinary contact with him.
Yeah.
People that lived with him and,
Yeah.
Dr. Frieden, again, yes, sir.
We may never know exactly how that happened, but the bottom line is that the guidelines didn't work for that hospital. Dallas shows that taking care of Ebola is hard.
It's hard, you guys. Taking care of Ebola is hard.
Like math, that is hard.
Oh my God, it's so hard.
All right, Dr. Varga, head of the Texas hospital.
We were as worried up front about Ebola as I think anyone else. We look, starting in August and moving forward, but in the absence of Ebola showing up in August, Ebola showing up in early September, et I think you let your guard down a little bit on that.
You think?
A little bit.
You think you dropped the ball? You think? Just a little bit? Meanwhile, here we go again. Playing politics with Ebola.
Great.
Ebola-palooza. Senator Marco Rubio announced on Monday he plans to introduce legislation that would temporarily ban U.S. visas for nationals from African countries affected by the outbreak. Experts, as we know, have said it will make tracking the spread of the disease more difficult. The Obama administration says such a ban would prevent aid workers from getting resources to the affected countries. But he's probably running for president.
Great.
And that's a good. Okay, this is a little bit of an isn't it ironic file. Rwanda has started screening all U.S. visitors for Ebola.
Isn't it ironic?
Oh, heavens. This week.
Well, Rwanda doesn't have Ebola.
Right.
America did.
Right.
So.
And neither does Rolanda. I just did Jane Velez Mitchell's show with Rolanda Watson. She's fine.
Good.
Okay, this week, an elementary school in New Jersey forced 2 students to stay at home because they recently moved to the U.S. from Rwanda because parents were concerned they might have been affected with Ebola, despite the fact that Rwanda is several thousand miles away from
Never had
West
Ebola.
Africa.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Now, the country of Rwanda appears to be returning the favor. The Rwandan Ministry of Health introduced its new Ebola screening procedure. It says visitors who've been in the United States or Spain during the last 22 days or no. Oh, you're from Texas? Okay. Pull over. During the last 22 days are now required to report their medical condition, regardless of whether or not they're experiencing symptoms of Ebola by telephone, for the entire duration of their visit to Rwanda. Any visitors who have a temperature of above 99.5 degrees will not be permitted to enter the country. So there. Ha-ha. Payback's a bitch.
Yeah. That's what Rwanda said. Meh.
Okay. Oh, hey, here's a just right before an election. You know, there's some money mixing with politics lately. I don't know if you've been paying attention. Yeah. It's a piece how politics slowed down an Ebola drug. An experimental drug now being used by the U.S. government to treat Ebola patients lost a high-stakes battle for federal funding several years ago. The politically connected drug company that won the dispute, meanwhile, filed for bankruptcy in September. Had a global Ebola outbreak not followed, the affair would just be one more eyebrow-raising indication of the influence of big money on American politics. But, yeah, it's stuff like this, like cutting funding to the NIH and the CDC and all of that stuff that, you know, there is a cause and effect, as they say.
I hear. Yes.
In the science world. I don't know why I'm doing this like cootie catchers. Okay.
Yeah, well.
All right. I need some sleep. Okay.
Look like little birdie mouths.
45 minutes after the hour. Jackie Scheckner on her way in. We roll along on the Stephanie Miller Show. The Stephanie Miller Show. Welcome to it. Jackie Scheckner on her way in. Everybody pray to the left turn signal god.
Yeah.
All right. 1-800-STEP-1-2, the phone number. Toll free from anywhere. All right. So we were talking about getting out the vote, the election. Yada. We put a thing up on our Facebook page.
The link to the Move On site where you can sign up to call people to get out and vote.
Correct.
It's up on your Facebook page.
All right. The president talking about the election year.
The bottom line is, though, these are all folks who vote with me. They have supported my agenda in Congress.
These are the people in Congress who don't want President Obama to show up and campaign with them.
Right. That was on Al Sharpton's radio show. Yeah, because I guess, you know, they're making a big deal. They had asked, with 2 weeks to go, obviously, you know, the odds have always been for Republicans in the midterms here. CNN's Jim Acosta asked Josh Earnest whether President Obama had given much thought to what life will be like under a Republican-led Senate, and he said, not really. You don't say that before an election. He said he went on to stress President Obama is putting his focus over the last couple of years into supporting Democratic candidates through fundraisers and his own campaign resources. He said the White House continues to be confident about the outcome for the midterm elections. Asked if he sees the midterms as a lost cause for Democrats, he said absolutely not. Yeah, I mean, again, turnout. We shall see. I mean, it's I look at a lot of these. First of all, yeah, Josh Earnest on that.
Democrats who are running in red states, blue states, and in so-called purple states are going to need the strong support of those voters who supported the president in his re-election campaign, that they're going to need the support of young voters and Hispanic voters and Asian voters, African-American voters, of course.
Well, and that's the whole game we've been talking about. We talked to Dean Obadala about this. Is, you know, you have to hope that first of all, like Ebola mania fever is going to break before then, because as usual they're running on Fear.
Yep.
It's what they always run on. New York Times, the headline is GOP bets big on immigration paranoia. And it's all the same stuff. Ooh, scary brown people, diseases. Oh, southern border. What you just heard Steve King saying. I mean, Scott Brown is doing it in New Hampshire.
Yep.
New Hampshire has one of the smallest populations of illegal immigrants in the country. Only about 5% of its 1.3 million residents are foreign-born. 3% are Hispanic. But you tune into the Senate race with Scott Brown, the senator fold, and Jeanne Shaheen, the Democratic incumbent.
Senator.
Right. And you might think the state shares a border with Mexico, not Canada, but tune in. Excuse me, when someone called a talk radio show to ask Mr. Brown about global warming the other day, Mr. Brown immediately started talking about border security. Let me tell you what I believe is a clear and pleasant danger right now. Brushing aside the caller's concerns about the environment, I believe our border is porous. And then did you hear about this ad? This conservative group led by John Bolton, among others.
God.
Attacked Ms. Shaheen last week with a video that juxtaposed two alarming images, a horde of people rushing a fence, presumably the Mexican border, and then a clip of Islamic militants right before they beheaded journalist James Foley, who was a New Hampshire native. The ad was pulled after the Foley family complained.
Because New Hampshire's so close to the Mexican border.
Right. Some Republicans questioning the cost of their focus on immigration, campaigning on possible threats from undocumented immigrants, may backfire after November. At that point, obviously they're going to have to start worrying about their appeal to more demographics. Right. Much of the harsh talk on immigration today may have to do with simple math. In the states that Republicans need to win to retake the Senate, Hispanics are a sliver of the electorate. So they're running on this crap. And then, like I said, I'm reading a story about, Latinos may sit this out because they're mad at the president. You know, when you have, Republicans actively fear-mongering about Latinos. I mean, it just makes no sense to me. Howard and Iden want to give the country a good shaking. Howard in Phoenix here on the Stephanie Miller Show. Hello, Howard.
Good morning, Stephanie. You know, I've been enjoying this absolute debacle this morning of your show. It's absolutely delightful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we're making history here in Phoenix right now, and all the fearmongers are it's just giving them apoplexy because we're marrying gay people. It's wonderful.
What? Right. Yeah, exactly. In Wyoming.
And Jan Brewer's not too happy about that. I kind of love that part.
You know what? Jan Brewer could cause all the symptoms of Ebola very easily.
Yeah, bleeding out the anus. Yeah,
all right,
totally.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
But, you know, fear causes all sorts of symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's so scary. But this exploding ass thing now, this is going to be,
right.
You know, I mean, the absolute terrorist tool of the exploding ass. Now this is.
Yeah, this is really brilliant. All right. Thank you, Howard.
Thanks, Howard.
Thanks for calling our show a debacle. Appreciate that. Although it is this morning. I've had no sleep in maybe a month. But no idea what I've said.
But you know what? You're entertaining as hell.
Thanks so much. It's my downward spiral. Whee! Liz Cheney loses again.
Mm-hmm.
How funny would that be if somehow she was still in the race, and so now Wyoming has marriage equality? Equality state about to live up to its name finally, and also particularly touching because of Matthew Shepard. You know, it's after Wyoming's Republican leadership announced it will not appeal a federal judge's Friday decision requiring the state to begin performing and recognizing same-sex marriages, same-sex couples. I believe they could start marrying yesterday, couldn't they?
I believe so.
Yeah. By the way, that narrows the states where Pat Robertson can move.
Yay!
As you recall yesterday, he urged Christians to flee the 32 states that currently recognize same-sex marriage. He said, so if you would bet on Wyoming, you lost.
Yeah, sucks to be you.
He said of a Christian couple who run a wedding chapel in Idaho, if I were that couple, I'd get ahead of the curve, get on an airplane, leave Idaho, get in your car, drive across the border into Montana. Oh, dear. It's going to be like whack-a-mole, and I'm like, oh, damn, now the homos can marry here, too. Honey, get to you already.
Actually, Montana might be next on the docket.
I was just going to say, I wouldn't bet on Montana either.
Yeah.
Isn't that where Brokeback Mountain was filmed? I'm just saying. What are the odds?
Was that Montana or was that Wyoming?
I don't know.
I think that was Wyoming.
How about the guy in South Carolina that has doubled down in his comments that gays are gremlins?
Like Gizmo?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Gizmo. That's if you're a really cute kid.
Oh.
The Republican challenger to Representative James Clyburn in South Carolina has decided that most of the attention he received for describing gays as gremlins, he's decided to double down. In a video posted to Facebook on Monday, Anthony Culler, I guess is his name.
Culler?
Yeah, doubled down on the comment, vowed if elected he would represent and fight for Christians against the worst gremlin outbreak we've seen in 30 years. Oh, my God, really? God. So Ebola and ISIS is not enough, and ISIS fighters getting Ebola to crawl across the southern border to infect us is not enough.
Gay gremlins.
Gay gremlins? Really?
I'll just put them in the microwave and they explode.
This is just in time for Halloween.
Yeah.
He said, what we have is, I made a comment that same-sex couples that want to destroy traditional marriage and our way of life, they're gremlins. They're these creatures that are so destructive. He said no matter how many gremlins there are across this country, we here in the 6th District will stand against it. Our microwaves at the ready. You are ridiculous, sir. All right, Jackie Schechner next on the Stephanie Miller Show. Oh, did it get hotter in here? I thought fall was finally here. Well, yay.
Imagine reading news.
Look at her. Look at her.
I think she gets up in the night and burns the lights. The only one who didn't fail and got it right was Jackie Schechner. She does the news so happy.
Hello, Jackie Schechner.
Good morning.
Look at you, the little minx. So we have our own version of Ebola Mania here. I was just cleaning out Max's ears, and Travis shrieked. Like so he thinks that Max has ear Ebola, and he does not. He just has.
What did you pull out of there? Was it a moth? A cricket?
No, there was no live moth. He's little gunky ears. It's fine. Hi, Jackie Schechner.
Oh, that was lovely.
Did you hear the latest? This makes good medical sense. The latest. I don't even know which Republican it is. Thinks that ISIS fighters are going to deliberately get Ebola to bring it to the United States.
Yeah, that seems like a plan.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Because they're going to make it here, and then they're going to run around and lick people.
Yeah.
I mean, what? Like, what?
Well, you'd have to already have exploding ass syndrome by that time and be vomiting profusely.
That looks like someone I'd want to hang out with.
And you don't want to be crossing a border in that condition. You just want to be, in bed.
It's hard to sex that up as a recruitment idea.
I was listening to you guys a little bit earlier talk about the teenage girls who went to go join ISIS, and all I kept thinking was, they're just not that into you.
See, girls, listen to Aunt Jackie. And they seem
there are
all
some things
glamorous
girls
now.
will do to get a boyfriend, but that seems like a little much. Do they appreciate what that relationship's going to look like when they get into it?
Oh, my God. You know what they promised me? What?
A husband. Who's going to demean me at every time.
Yeah.
All right, where do we start? Where do we start this morning? You live tweeted the governor's debate in...
oh, that was fun.
What is wrong with Governor...
Was there a fan?
Was there what?
A fan?
There was no fan this time around, and both... You all right?
I'm fine. I have Ebola. Go ahead.
That's fine. Totally fine. I'm so glad I'm here.
Pardon me.
Cough more in this direction.
I'm sorry.
No, there was no fan, and both candidates were there, which was a step up from the last one, right? For the first 8 minutes.
Right.
It's for me. I mean, people know I have this just visceral negative reaction to Rick Scott.
Yeah.
A couple of reasons. One, because he's a scumbag, and two, because
Speak freely.
He threw at least $5 million of his own money, probably more, into the fight against healthcare reform.
Right.
And I know he's a disingenuous guy. I know he made his money scamming the government, trying to cut down on life-saving necessities in hospitals that he owned.
And he has no eyelids.
And then he snuck out before his company paid the largest fine in history at the time, $1.7 billion.
He doesn't have eyelids.
Medicare.
He doesn't have eyelids.
It's weird. I'm not going to knock his physical because I think there's enough about his character for us to demean. So I don't
let us knock his eyelids.
Yeah, I don't.
Has he ever blinked? I don't think so.
No, I mean I don't feel the need. He's creepy, yes, and the fact
reptilian.
And the fact that he speaks more quickly every time he lies is a really good indicator of where he's coming from. I mean, I watched last night during the debate, when he knows that he's saying something that isn't true, he speeds up and he stumbles over his words because he's trying to get out whatever it is he thinks he's supposed to say.
Right.
And there's no authenticity to any of it. I accused former Governor Christ of not implementing the Medicaid expansion in the 6 months where he was still governor after the law passed, I'm pretty sure that kind of implementation can't be done in 6 months. And B, like Governor Scott or the successor wasn't going to undo, if it was a Republican, wasn't going to undo everything that was done anyway. It would have been a waste of time. So it just seems to me like he's got no leg to stand on. And the worst part of the whole thing was this execution story. Right. I don't know if you caught this.
Oh, right. That they delayed an execution.
They delayed an execution for the Attorney General's fundraiser, and his reply to the accusation of that was, I pray. I pray every execution, I pray. And then he said, was it delayed? And he said, well, she apologized. What more do you want? Talking about the Attorney General. So essentially admitted that, yes, he did delay, and she apologized for doing it. She, meaning the Attorney General, so what do you want from me? It was so disingenuous and so scummy. And to know that this morning the latest Quinnipiac poll has them tied is beyond
It's the biggest WTF in Florida that we have
seriously, Florida.
And that's saying a lot.
And that's a state of WTFs.
Yeah, you've seen what Governor Scott does. Like, really? I get that Governor Chris switched parties. I get that, right? And people are, I don't know where you stand. Like, you want more of Governor Scott?
Right.
Really? Come on.
Yeah. No, it is stunning. Just with the whole thing you talked about, I'm like, I do not know how he got elected in the first place. The whole Medicare.
Money.
Yeah, but
and people north of Orlando.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. It's very red up there. That's the deep south up in North Florida.
But he's not doing anything
Riviera.
for them.
Right.
He turned around and said, I want the best medical care for people that they can have. Really? You're the guy who doesn't want health care reform and won't expand Medicaid, and you want the best health care for people? You want them to go to your clinic so you make money.
Did you see, by the way, that John Kasich accidentally said something good about this is what we've come to. Every once in a while, a politician will slip and accidentally tell the truth. Ohio Governor John Kasich inadvertently praised the Affordable Care Act, which is, oh, my God. He's expected, of course, to win re-election. He told the Associated Press that repealing the Affordable Care Act is not going to happen. The opposition to it was really either political or ideological. I don't think that holds water against the real flesh and blood and real improvements in people's lives. Oh, no. So he had to backpedal, of course.
Yeah.
This is how ridiculous
but
he's gotten.
That's the honesty.
He took to Twitter and said, as always, my position is that we need to repeal and replace.
Oh, goodness. I'm so exhausted by this. Like, it doesn't have to be, and I've been saying this from the very, very beginning, because I wasn't political when I started this fight, and I didn't appreciate how political it was going to become.
Right.
But healthcare doesn't discriminate. Like, cancer or health disease doesn't discriminate. Cancer doesn't say, are you a Democrat or Republican? I'm going to invade your body. People have accidents. People have medical conditions. Like, this isn't about politics. I understand there's different ideology, and I understand that there are different experts who weigh in on the best ways to fix our healthcare system, because, let's be totally honest, it's completely screwed up in some ways. But it doesn't have to be a political, ideological fight in that you're stopping people from getting access to the health care they need.
Yeah.
Like, let's help people.
And I'm not telling the story to be like, oh, I'm such a good person. It's just, but as you say,
but
it
you
really
are.
No, but the point is, it is not partisan. For instance, cancer touches, both sides of the aisle. My mom has had breast cancer. So I don't know if you remember this story. This was a long time. It was actually right before we got this show. It was like 10 years ago. But Laura Ingraham got breast cancer. And I knew her. I know her, obviously, from radio and TV. And so I just sent her an email and just said, we're all rooting for you. And, same thing. Cancer touches both sides of the aisle. And, just all rooting for you. And I remember she was so shocked and touched. And I thought, really?
You shouldn't have to be shocked.
We all, and she wrote back a really lovely letter back, but I thought, this is what we do for politics, but we all have, friends or relatives that have been touched by healthcare things, and that's why I think I'm with you that I did not expect this level of politics.
No,
with something that's just human.
It's so, the sad part is I was listening to another radio program yesterday, and they were interviewing some people at a festival, and there was a guy who said, I forced me into Obamacare, and I don't have any money, and I can't pay for health insurance, and ranting and raving. And all I was thinking was, gosh, I wish someone would sit down with this person and say, well, first of all, if you don't make enough money, there is a way for you to get access to health insurance, whether you make enough to qualify for a subsidy or whether you have access to Medicaid if you're in a state that offers that. There are safety net programs. And to me, it was like, gosh, I just wish people were more informed. Okay,
right.
I just wish there wasn't such a backlash against the president that we ended up leaving people in the lurch. Everybody loves their health insurance until they get sick.
Yeah.
Everybody loves what they have until they actually need it.
Right.
And then they realize that the insurance companies are doing everything they possibly can to make money on your medical condition. Like whether you're sick, they're going to try and make as much money as they can. Whether you're healthy, they're going to try to make as much money as they can. The business model of an insurance company is to take advantage of the fact that people think they're going to get sick, may get sick. They're mitigating the risk, but they're making money on that.
And honestly, stories like, and I'm sure you've seen this. I mean, just one of many, but more proof that anti-Obamacare states desperately need Obamacare in a lot of big urban areas where large
Can we
share
call
residents.
it the Affordable Care Act? I hate that word.
Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
No. I'm just saying I hate the word Obamacare. I really do.
7 of the 11 large metro areas where the uninsured rate was higher than the 14.5% national average are located in states that refuse to expand Medicaid under Affordable Care. Here, Florida, Texas. Right. I mean, you just. I mean, the metro area with the highest uninsured rate was Miami at a staggering 25%, compared to the national low of 4% in Greater Boston, where they have Romney Care. I mean, it breaks your heart, right? To date, it's still 23 states, mostly southern, have not adopted the expansion despite generous federal funding, and it's just.
Well, that's the best part, right? The government's going to pay for it 100% for the first 3 years. There's no cost to the state whatsoever, and then at no point will any state pay more than 10%.
Right.
So it doesn't make any sense not to take that money.
Right.
At least try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But for 3 years, there's no expense to you to expand Medicaid in your state.
Yeah. I know. It does make no sense. Well, let's land on a sliver of hope before we break.
Okay.
From Forbes, young physicians okay with Obamacare while older doctors bristle. Though U.S. physicians continue to have issues with the Affordable Care Act, it appears it's to be a generational taste developing of the law and making sweeping changes to their profession. More than half of doctors 46 years of age and older give the health law a D or an F, while just 37% of doctors 45 and younger give the legislation poor grades, according to a new survey. Nearly 30% of younger doctors gave the law an A or a B. I mean, that's sort of interesting, right?
Yeah, no, it is interesting. I've obviously spoken with a lot of doctors because when people find out what I did, they want to have this conversation.
Sure.
And, there aren't a lot who were cheering all of the components of the law because I think a lot of doctors think that there are better ways we could have fixed the system.
Right.
But I will say there is a consensus that the insurance companies are a big problem, that the hospital insurance company relationship is a big problem.
Yeah.
I think that the fact that they spend so much time and energy on administration, and their staff does, and having to argue with insurance companies or having to argue with facilities. I don't think the doctor-hospital relationship is that strained. I think the real relationship stress comes from doctors and insurance companies and hospitals.
Well, they're naturally antagonistic. They have to be.
Yeah, that's the frustration, I think, is the money. Hospitals are trying to make up the money that they end up losing on patients who don't have health insurance.
Right.
And health insurance is overcharging to compensate for the money. The system's kind of messed up in all of those ways. And doctors, frankly, are trying to keep up because of the way that they're paid, right? When you're paid on a per item basis, or you're paid on a per procedure basis, you end up trying to jam in as much as you possibly can. And I don't blame doctors for that. They've got a lot of them come out of medical school with a tremendous amount of debt. And they're trying to pay back their bills. I get that. But I'd really love to harken back to the days where doctors had time to spend with their patients and patients felt
I spent a really long time with my gynecologist yesterday. I'll tell you about it.
That's like an interesting, fascinating story.
It was a really interesting story, right, Chris? Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, really?
Yeah, I'll tell you all about it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It raises a lot of questions. Let's just put it that way.
I'll tell you after the break. Now, that's a tease.
That is a tease. What is questionable about your lady?
All I'm saying is on whether it's the Affordable Care Act or gay rights, all of the rest of us old people just need to...
Oh, for God's sake, just die.
Just need to die off and let better people take over. All right. So back with that story in a minute. 19 minutes after the hour, this hour of the Stephanie Miller Show, brought to you by GoToMeeting, trying to keep up with your workload when you're constantly out of the office for meetings. I could be at the gyno. You never know what's going on down there.
You could be upstairs.
Right? Exactly. That's why I'm not going to walk 2 flights. I'm going to have a Citrix go-to-meeting with Chris. You can meet with clients, coworkers, even new prospects, without having to leave your desk.
Right.
I'm mainly sedentary now that I'm elderly. Even if you're not, it just saves you time. You can get more work done. You can save the expense of travel. With GoToMeeting, you can meet with anyone from any computer, tablet, or smartphone, talk face-to-face with HD video conferencing, while sharing screens to collaborate on documents and presentations in real time. You can schedule meetings in advance or on the fly. It's so easy without the unnecessary time and expense of travel. GoToMeeting. Work smarter. Do it. Don't wait. Get started today. Try GoToMeeting free for 30 days. Visit GoToMeeting.com. Click on the Try It Free button. That's GoToMeeting.com for your free 30-day trial. 20 minutes after the hour. Jackie Schechner can't do that. Why? Because we need eye candy here in studio. Hi, eye candy. Hi. Right back with more Jackie Schechner on the Stephanie Miller Show. The Stephanie Miller Show, 25 minutes after the hour. 1-800-STEP-12, the phone number. Jackie Schechner, live in studio. All right, now that we got through all the important stuff, like here.
Wait, one more thing before we do that. Hold on. I just got a thing on Twitter I want to address.
Okay.
It says, ask me to explain what happens after 3 years when the state expands Medicaid.
Okay.
The federal government continues to kick in money. It's just the states take on a small portion of the expense.
Right.
Okay.
So they'll never pay more than 10%. The federal government still covers 90%.
Gotcha.
It just, the amount that states have to kick in a little bit of money after 3 years.
Okay.
But it gives them time to prepare, and it's not necessarily up to 10%.
Right.
All the way up to 10%, but somewhere between 0 and 10% the states then have to pay on their own.
All right. This important, useful information brought to you by Jackie Schechner. Now let's talk about Renee Zellweger's face. Okay. So, Renee Zellweger, what is that? She said, I'm glad people think I look different. Okay, she seems to, I'll read what she said. She seems to be implying that she did not have surgery.
Yeah, that seems a little odd to me. Clearly there's something different with her eyes.
Or maybe she's just aging.
Ooh.
Oh dear.
How did that happen?
What's happening?
I have no
What's
idea.
going on?
I'm getting, I put it on Do Not Disturb. I'm getting disturbed.
Is it someone on your VIP list? Because that breaks through your Do Not Disturb.
Oh, no. But maybe they
Who is on your VIP list, I wonder?
Maybe it's somebody who wants to be on my VIP list. If I'm lucky.
Yeah, no, I was saying, and clearly I should talk. I've been very open about it. I've had surgery, but, I was just saying, I thought she looked adorable before, and Chris was saying, she sort of took a lot of bullying. That was that whole, SNL thing, sucking on a lemon and...
Squinty.
Oh, I thought she was adorable.
I did, too.
I just think she's so beautiful and
unique.
and adorable, and she's
a lot of people said her expression
and...
never changed. She was always acting like this.
Well, that's what God gave her.
Right.
That's what her eyes look like. But here's my issue with this whole thing, is that she can do whatever it is she wants to do. But I've seen a lot of commentary on Facebook and Twitter yesterday, mostly on Facebook. People were sending around articles, and a lot of them came from, I hate the word feminist because feminist is not a bad thing, but they were kind of like, what is it about society that forced this woman to do this? Mm-hmm. And that bothers me so much. Because Renee Zellweger or any other woman...
Well, she's already a beautiful Hollywood actress, which is a level of beauty that is not even normal. And then you go the fact that she felt like she didn't look good enough.
But that was within her.
Right.
And I know that you talk openly about the decisions that you made.
Well, I did it because it was free. And because Is there a woman in the world that doesn't have some self-esteem issue about something?
Of course. I mean, we all do, right?
Yeah, everybody does. Women, men, everybody does.
Right. Yeah. But nobody turned around and said, what is it about society that forced Michael Jackson to do what he did? I mean, there was no big article about that. And nobody forced her to do anything. She made a choice. If she did, in fact, do something, which it looks like maybe she had her eyes adjusted in some way.
As someone that has had a forehead lift, it looks to me.
Is that what it looks like? Yeah.
Yes.
Although, she's lost some weight. And she's aged since the last time we saw her. She hasn't done a whole lot in the last 5 years. So people change.
Yeah, I mean, it's not... It does look like there was some sort of adjustment.
Well, either eyelid or
something,
or
forehead, eyelid. But regardless of that, she made a choice to do what she wanted to do, and let's leave it there. Let's not turn around and say, what is the societal pressure that forced her to do that?
You're right. If she did do that, you don't want to bully her again going, oh, now what did you do? Because I remember the SNL, that's got to be hard, those SNL things. I mean, even though they're funny, it's sort of making fun of she's squinty
Well, it's like Jennifer Grey.
Yeah, with the nose. Yeah. People didn't recognize her after she had her nose.
Exactly. And same thing with Renee Zellweger. It's hard to recognize her as the Renee Zellweger that we...
She looks noticeably different.
Right.
And people are more than welcome to comment on that. And that was she looks different. Something is different. She looks different. in the public eye.
No, she's still beautiful. It's just that, like you said, I love the way she looked before, and I feel bad if she did it because she felt like.
But then that's something she's got to address in and of herself. It's not there's a lot of.
All right, more with
okay,
this.
Sorry.
With Jackie Chapman. It looked like a little dude. It is the Stephanie Miller Show.
Played softball.
Of course I did. 1-800-STEPH-1-2, the phone number, toll free from anywhere. I'll never forget the morning my dad took my brother and I to breakfast, and the hostess said, "Well, it'll just be you and your two sons."
Oh no! How old are you?
I was a little junior dyke, and I never took off my Platts Texaco softball shirt. Shut up, everybody! Jim in Florida, you're on with Jackie. Hi, Jim.
Hi. Hold on a second.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I've been trying to figure out why Rick Scott even got elected in the first place, and then I've been asking other people, do you know that he was part of in a healthcare organization that got fined by the U.S. government, $1.7 billion, and he did a fifth 75 times. Nobody seems to know this. And at the very same time, we've been blasted, at least on the Internet, and I don't get regular channels, TVs, or local channels because I quit, the bigger cable. But everything I've seen, it's like 10-1 trying to portray Chris as a crook. And that's a real Karl Rove type of
I'll say
technique, where he attacks the very person for what his candidate is.
Jim, the first question I ever asked Jackie Scheckner is, Rick Scott is now in the governor's mansion instead of jail because why?
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Or, why would you put somebody who is trying to not be convicted for stealing from the government in charge of the government?
Right. And that's, you saw that during the debate last night, too, is Rick Scott went after Charlie Crist for being raised with money. And Rick Scott is a multi-millionaire, who lives in Naples, lived in Naples, Florida, and spent. If you have $5 million of your own money to create an organization to fight against national health care reform, you've got money to toss. You've got money on top of money, and to then go after Charlie.
You've got money that's spooning with other money.
Yeah, I mean, if you. Your money's I can't even top that. That was good. Right. I would try, but I can't. It would fail miserably.
Yes.
He's going after him for being wealthy, and it's such an odd strategy. But that's what money buys you, is the airtime to inundate people who aren't paying attention otherwise, who aren't reading a newspaper. Mm-hmm. Somebody joked about the Miami Herald, and they were like, "Oh, that's the paper that they wrap around other paper." It's like, exactly. It's the protector for the real paper, because people just aren't paying attention to the news, and they're not researching his background or caring, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, Roseanne in Florida is. Hello, Roseanne.
Hi.
Hi, go ahead.
Today, I was at the doctor on Monday, and my husband and I were sitting, and we kind of like to view the people here since they're strange. There were two elderly gentlemen with a combination of 6 teeth talking about Obamacare, the affordable health care, and they're both elderly, and the one gentleman says, "My wife and I decided that we're going to try that there Obamacare," and the other gentleman says, No, you got to go with the Affordable Act.
Oh, my God, really?
Honest to God, I had a mouthful of water, and my poor husband was drenched because I couldn't say no.
All right, Roseanne, thanks. Wow.
I did a little video last week. I got to work on the technical side of it, because it doesn't have any. I need some lights and all that good stuff. But I just did a little quickie on Proposition 45.
If only there was somebody that you knew that had lights and
that
cameras.
had a studio.
And some hot little boy toy that runs the cameras over there that might do it for a little favor.
Are you pimping me out?
Yes.
I could do worse. Though I've met his girlfriend, and she's lovely.
Hi.
So now I'm all blushy.
Sorry.
And weird.
Sorry.
So I did this little video, and I might do another one. I call them my little healthcare quickies. But I might do another one of that. And I was thinking about this. I think the next one should be Obamacare is not a thing.
Right.
It's not a thing.
Right.
It's not a thing you can buy.
You can't buy it. It's not a health insurance plan. Would you like to do a quickie,
plan. Nathan, with Jackie? Another little quickie?
Yeah, of course. Of course. I got an of course.
But I can see why people use that term, because it's easier to say than...
The Affordable Care Act, of course. Yeah. But, look, It was named Obamacare because it was taking after the derogatory, disparaging comment of calling it Hillary Care back when they tried to pass health care reform during the Clinton administration.
Right.
This was not a positive nickname.
I know.
It's pejorative.
I know.
And the Republicans created it because it sounded like a big, massive government program.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, the president or whoever made this decision to try to adopt it got some bad PR advice because there's no way to make that sound good. He's like, oh, I love it because it says I care. It doesn't. It makes it sound like a giant government bureaucracy. And there's no way to turn that around, which is why it drives me crazy when news organizations now use it by default.
Yeah. Right.
Because it is negative in its intonation and it's pejorative. It was meant to be that way. And now it makes it sound like it is this big government health insurance program. And it could not be farther from that because all it is creating more business for the private health insurance industry.
You're not going to change it.
Well, I know that, but I personally can make a conscious decision
can.
not to use the phrase Obamacare and explain why.
Because I'm old, I forgot to tell you my story about the gynecologist yesterday.
Yes.
Oh, yes, this.
Do you know the story already?
Yes, I told it in hour one.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't ask me. I don't recall how this came up. However, he said that he once had a patient that had 2 vaginas. I'm not kidding.
What?
Well, okay. And you know what? You're right. I did not ask the key question side by side or double decker. I don't know. Not like not 2 fully formed ones, but 2.
Or on her shoulder.
No, it's in that area.
Or was it like a New York apartment where you build that kind of fake wall? It was a 1-bedroom that you turn into 2 with one of the.
Yeah.
She had an extra piece of skin somewhere and it created 2. That's all. What?
Ew.
Okay. Is it a true 1-bedroom?
I don't know if it's like a little sidecar. I don't know. Okay.
Or it was on a growth, maybe.
There is a man with 2. What am I allowed to say? 2
penises?
Okay, good.
Yes. 2. I was going to say because the other thing we know, most men have 2, but even I know that.
I didn't know if I was allowed to say that word.
Yeah.
Yes. Lord knows I say.
You're just not allowed to say pick.
Okay.
You can say the clinical name.
Okay.
Penis.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there is a man with 2, and he did like an AMA on Reddit.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Apparently, AMA is Ask Me Anything. It's when you go there and people just fire you questions.
Yeah, and apparently he's bisexual, and he has a boyfriend and a girlfriend, or poly.
At the same time. He can do it at the same time.
Yeah.
Now that is bisexual.
They both get aroused. There's a whole thing.
Wow. It sounds kind of like Angela Bassett in the new season of American Horror Story.
Oh, I haven't.
She's a hermaphrodite with 3 boobs.
Do they have a favorite, or just the...
Well, you have to go read it. I'll send you the link.
Or is one always for the man and one's always for the woman, or do they fight over them? Like, you had that one last time.
It's like,
that's the better one.
They Indian wrestle for it,
What?
Leg wrestle for it.
Indian wrestling?
Yeah, Indian wrestling is when you lie down next to each other.
Well, that is a 3-legged race for sure. Okay.
It's a thing.
Back to Renee Zellweger for a moment.
I learned it in Cub Scouts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really? Indian wrestling and Cub Scouts?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound... All right, go ahead.
Okay. So back to the Renee Zellweger.
Yes.
And again, we were saying what we felt. I just felt sad that if she felt, that from bullying or whatever, that she wasn't beautiful the way she was. She clearly, to me, looks like she's had surgery. She seems to be implying that she has not. She looks totally good.
Okay, but here's the argument. If we say that it was societal, we should be looking at societal pressures that made her do this. Right. Then are we talking about societal pressures that make every woman who's had breast implants look at what they've done? Or right. You've got to expand it out, right? Mm-hmm. You say, oh, she's a woman. First of all, as
well, I think for normal
women,
a
woman not unlike her in the age category, I will say that saying that women over 40 don't have a shot. I mean, I just think that's a horrible thing to say. They're saying like, oh, she felt the pressures after 40. There are plenty of beautiful women. Around the country who are over 40 who don't feel the need to have any sort of alteration done. And if you say that it was some sort of societal pressure, then you have to say it about anybody who's ever had plastic surgery.
Right.
And I think that that's a really unfortunate generalization to make.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that's what I mean. I think that women in general, we have a really high standard to live up to between the time you're inundated when you're a little kid with magazines and movies and TV shows and airbrushing and So
you know what? Tell that to Mama June.
Who's Mama June?
Of Honey Boo Boo.
Oh.
She hasn't.
Does she just? She looks a little like a thumb.
She looks like a thumb.
What? That's not important now. What's important is
her face and her neck go straight down to her shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, look, we all have our insecurities. Every single one of us has insecurities, and there's things about us that we want to change. That's totally natural.
Oh, I'm Frankenwoman. I have virtually none of my original parts. However, Zellweger told People magazine that conversations about her looks are silly, but I'm living a different, happy, more fulfilling life, and I'm thrilled that perhaps it shows. So she seems to be implying. She went on to say, my friends say I look peaceful. I am healthy. For a long time, I wasn't doing such a good job with that. I took on a schedule that's not realistically sustainable and didn't allow for me taking care of myself. Rather than stopping to recalibrate, I kept running until I was depleted and made bad choices about how to conceal the exhaustion. I was aware of the chaos and finally chose different things. I did work that allows for being still, making a home, loving someone, learning new things, growing as a creative person, and finally growing into myself. She went on to say, people don't know me in my 40s. People don't know me as healthy for a while. Perhaps I look different. Who doesn't as they get older? But I am different. I'm happy.
It sounds like there was some sort of substance being taken advantage of in that when she says I wasn't.
Right, but she clearly seems to be implying that she didn't.
But she was also overworked. I mean, she said that in there.
Yeah, but there was also, I mean, I don't mean to read too much into it, but to me, when I read it, because I read
made
it this
bad
morning,
choices. Yeah,
and it says I was hiding the exhaustion
to conceal the exhaustion.
Yeah, she also made bad choices by marrying Brad Paisley. There was that.
No, it was Dwight. It wasn't Brad Paisley. It was Dwight Yoakam.
No, it wasn't Dwight Yoakam.
Yes, it was.
It was not Brad.
It was not Brad Paisley. I'm telling you right now.
Dwight Yoakam.
Oh, Kenny Chesney.
Kenny Chesney.
It wasn't Dwight Yoakam.
See.
But there was that triumvirate.
But I was right about you being wrong.
Yes, you were.
Do you remember there was that triumvirate at the time? It was Renee Zellweger, Joey Lauren Adams, and Jewel, and they all looked alike. There was that.
Kinda? Yeah.
Whatever
happened to Joey Lauren Adams?
I don't know. She hasn't been around in a while.
No.
You're thinking Shelley Wright used to date Brad Paisley. That's what you're thinking.
I had no idea that happened.
Oh, okay, it's a long time ago. Okay,
all right.
She said
that was a movie in her documentary, wasn't it?
She said she chose to do the interview with People because it seems like folks who come digging around for some nefarious truth which doesn't exist won't get off my porch until I answer the door. So, okay. Anyway, that's what she seems to be saying.
I mean, I'm not sure that being happier makes your eyes look different.
Right, I was going to say.
Makes you more awake.
That looks like about a $20,000 nap to me.
Yeah.
46 minutes after the hour.
Terrible.
I'm awful. 46 minutes after the hour. Back with the remaining moments with Jackie Shetner on the Stephanie Miller Show.
Funny how?
Canada.
Yeah.
50 minutes after the hour. 1-800-STEP-12. The phone number toll free from anywhere. Yeah. A bunch of shootings in Canada. I guess that's why there's
in Ottawa.
Yeah. Several shooting incidents in downtown Ottawa just this morning. Police said on Twitter incidents occurred at National War Memorial near the Rideau Center and Parliament Hill.
Yep.
Yeah.
It said it was in the Parliament building, in the foyer, and then another shooting near the Parliament Library.
There were numerous gunmen Wednesday morning at the Canada War Memorial. Shooting, said one, police spokesperson. So yeah, you were saying that they're speculating terrorism only because there's so many.
As many as 5 is what they're saying.
Yeah,
I mean, suspects wearing black clothing with white scarves. I hate to say this out loud, but Canadian Senator on MSNBC, according to Luke Russert, saying white scarves that could be associated with some Islamic organization.
Yeah.
Well,
I just feel like that's a tremendous amount of speculation until we know.
Yeah, it is. But it does appear, it does look coordinated. I mean that.
If there's 5 shooters in 5 different locations and they're all dressed in the same,
then it does look coordinated. So,
oh boy. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now it's going to be all about the Canadian border. For the midterms, right? Not just the Mexican border.
Well, the far right tends to focus only on the southern border when it's the northern border that's the most porous.
Now they're saying 3 separate shooting incidents.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been focused on the northern border for a long time, as you know, because Canadian comics tend to come here and take all the best jobs. And I'm for locking that down. Wall, moat, build the dang fence. Canadians.
And Justin Bieber.
Yeah,
right.
I would build a fence to keep him out.
Yeah.
Right. I did speculate that about the teenage girls from Denver that went to try to join ISIS.
Yeah.
Why can't they just be believers? Why? I mean, I understand you need a cause.
Was it Dean who was on earlier?
Yeah.
Said that would be worse.
Yeah, that would be worse.
I'm with Dean.
This other news out of L.A. The Django Unchained actress Danielle Watts has been charged with lewd conduct for alleged indecent exposure. As you recall, she was detained by police after a citizen called and reported 2 people involved in indecent exposure. And sadly, we saw the pictures.
Yeah.
She was
doing
it.
Just be kissing.
No, good, because she tried to blame it on
racism.
and racism, and it's so inappropriate.
This hurts the racial debate just as much as the other could be
crying foul doesn't help the debate.
She claimed the incident was racially charged because she's black and her boyfriend is white. And they say they're talking to the ACLU and the NAACP to weigh their options about taking legal action. But
come on.
I mean, initially when the story broke, we were like, it sounds like.
Sure, everybody was on her side until we found out what was going on.
Right.
And then it just becomes an abuse of the system. And,
right.
Let's save the resources for when we really need them.
Exactly.
Right. And I spoke to someone that's had a little bouncy in a car.
In Studio City.
Wait. You had sex in a car in Studio City?
She did.
Well, it's not important now.
And the cops came.
Yes. But there was no incident. It was at night. It was in the back of the see,
and you tried to play it off.
Yeah, well, right.
Mm-hmm.
You got something stuck up someone's skirt?
Long time ago. By the way, I seem to be choking up a lung, and none of you seem to care.
No, not really.
No, we just want to hear the story.
Okay, well,
did the stick shift get?
It was at night, and it was
male or female?
Female.
It was a female.
Was it?
What?
You have lots of lipstick on your teeth now for some reason. What's going on with you?
I'm a mess. The
coughing up blood.
Hubcaps are coming off the jalopy.
It's Ebola. You're coughing up blood. That's awesome.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe you should sleep.
I think so. My point is, okay, where was I? Oh, it was at night. It was after a date, and we were just anyway. But I was saying it was too bad there wasn't Uber because we were like, oh, there's a cop. So she jumped in the front seat and I was in the back. And if there'd been Uber, I could have been like, oh, officers, this is my Uber driver. Because you could tell he didn't know what was going on. He was like, is everything okay here? We're like, oh, yes. Yeah.
The windows weren't steamed up or anything? I'm sure he knew what was going on.
I could see Stephanie in the back seat with loose leaf paper and a Sharpie drawing a U. Yeah. To stick up on the dashboard.
Because Ubers have...
They have the U.
Yeah, they have that little placard in the window.
It was way pre-Uber.
I think it was even pre-taxi.
How are you kidding? I'm just saying, I don't know about the... I don't know about the racial thing, but I'm just saying, men and hot girl on girl, he probably just wanted to go... Can you turn on the interior light? I'm having a little trouble seeing exactly what's going on with you guys.
Where's that hand?
I need to see exactly where that hand is.
It's illegal to not let
a cop watch.
See what's happening. What's going on in there? I need to see exactly what's going on before I can file my report. Go ahead.
Dear Penthouse.
And by report.
Yeah, he means a letter to Penthouse Forum.
Oh, boy.
Dear Penthouse Forum, you're not going to believe this, but that's how they all start.
It was not in broad daylight. And how hot is this? It was in the back of my minivan.
You had a minivan?
So, I had all the giant dogs. At that point, it was,
I think I remember a minivan.
Yeah. Yeah, it was back then. They blacked out windows. Nobody could...
Did it have free candy written across the side?
Blacked out windows in a van? That's total child molester mobile.
It's just tinted. They weren't blacked out. It was a minivan. It was like a soccer mom van.
Even creepier.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
You cruising soccer fields?
Holy smokes, everybody.
Lonely soccer mom.
Whose husbands have ignored them for too long.
I have snacks. Granola bars and Capri Sun.
I can fit a lot of balls back here.
Oh.
All right. What?
Come see my juice box. Go ahead.
Oh, wow.
I have never said want to come see my juice box to a soccer mom.
That's a good one. You're welcome to use it.
Let me write that down. That is a good one. Ben Affleck's Batman will be teaming up with a female Robin. It's all the rumor in the new, the Warner Brothers Batman versus Superman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you know who leaked it? An extra. Right now, face a fine.
Yeah, they fine you like $1 million if
I think I had to sign a confidentiality thing when I played a novice nun in the Valerie Bertinelli movie Shattered Vows.
Is that rentable?
Wasn't it a Lifetime movie of sorts or something?
I didn't have any lines. I was just an extra.
Vows.
But I'm pretty sure that I had to shush about who was her husband then? Van Halen. What's his name?
Eddie Van Halen.
Eddie Van Halen. You had to shush about that.
Who would be the Robin?
I don't know.
Oh, they're saying it's a. They had a picture of it. I think it's in the story.
It's in the dumpster now, along with my Ebola loogies. We must go. I love you, Jackie Schechner. Yes, we are going spinning together.
Ooh.
Because that's how we roll.
Are you going to troll for soccer moms?
To change into my spinning attire.
Depends on Jackie's mood. Okay. We'll see you tomorrow on the Stephanie Miller Show.